Change. This train not taking passengers.
Hey everyone. I don't know how to start these things. Firstly, I just want to say sorry for the lack of updates. The last month, I've actually got... God, I don't even have water in my fridge. The last month, I have managed to... Hang on. That's better. I actually just went and got a Gatorade from the fridge because there's no water left. I even said it to myself I should go buy like stocks, supplies to this place, but I didn't. I've been hanging for a Gatorade because I went drinking last night. It's actually funny saying it like that. I went drinking. Like I went out with the intent to drink. I went out with the intent to catch up with a friend of mine, but the only overarching theme for the night was booze. That's actually pretty stupid. What compels a person to drink outside of, say, depression, elevation, serotonin, blah, 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 blah. But the idea of let's just get drunk to die. Fuck, it's expensive too. Anyway, what am I talking about? No, the last month, I've actually done it. I'd done a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I'm waiting for that to be cleared because it was of a sensitive topic, sensitive nature, and there are anonymity issues that need to be considered. I've also got one that I'd done with Jimmy Drama the week before I left for the Philippines. And that's been on the shelf. I haven't had time to finish editing that. That one's going to be a mess because we literally we staked out the Coburg Motel like two beat cops like playing detective. It was actually stupid. It was funny, but no, it was good. It was a nice catch up. It's fun. But yeah, I still need to edit that, and I haven't had the time to do it. I've just been flat out with work as standard. Had a bunch of personal shit pop up, which I had to sort out. So, apologies in advance. I know that it sucks. Not that we're producing quality content, but more the fact that when, for a product to stay sort of relevant, you need consistency. And that's something that I haven't actually done in the last month to 2 months, probably even more. Granted, there's a lot going on, but, and it bothers me too, because I keep saying to myself, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And honestly, the only reason I'm doing this one is because I was in the area. I was at the studio. I'm at the studio. And I said to myself, I need to record something. I was saying it all week. I said, I need to record something. And I haven't. And then I sort of said, I should stock up the fridge because it's empty. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I'll go and record something from there because, I'm paying for this damn thing. And yeah, it's nice. This studio is probably twice to 3 times the size of my working space at home. So it's nice just coming to utilize all this crap. Which reminds me, I need to pay for the insurance. Fucking hell. I'm so poor. I know fuel went down, but that doesn't cut it. Everything else is so fucking expensive. I'm so over it. I'm over it. I remember I was watching some random YouTube, Instagram comic snippets the last week, and someone said something about, I can't remember the comedian, I should have saved it just to give him relevance. Not relevance, props. Like, me mentioning their names is going to give him relevance. Jesus. And he was talking about how when he was a kid, he'd see homeless people on the street and he'd ask his parents, why they're homeless, like why are they on the street? And his dad's automatic answer would be, they're lazy, they don't want to work, blah, blah, blah. Then as an adult, he's come to realize that it's far more than that. He could easily see how someone could become homeless. And I was thinking about it. I work 7 days a week, and on paper I earn like pretty good money now. Like I was talking about it, with actually talking about it with my parents. On paper I earn pretty good money, like what would be considered decent. But with the cost of living and, just everything in general, it's really nothing. Like it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. And I don't have another mouth to feed. I don't have a family to feed. It's incredible how even a good wage on paper is not enough to keep above the poverty line, And then, it's been suggested that, I'm living beyond my means. It's like, well, then what are my luxuries, my, gratuitous luxuries that I have? And, you could cherry pick the studio, you could cherry pick the bike, whatever, where I choose to live, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, are they really luxuries? I mean, what else do I have? What am I meant to have? Am I meant to just basically be a drone and work 9 to 5, 9 to 10 every day and have nothing to like play with? Like, is that enough? And then I got into this conversation with a friend of mine. I've actually had this conversation a bunch of times, especially and more with myself than anyone else over the last week or two, about motivation and, what it takes to be motivated. What's the drive for motivation? So what motivates motivation? And I got in my own head about it, and I was thinking about it on the way over here because I wanted to bring it up, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, you're overthinking it. I'm like, am I? But isn't overthinking a good thing? Because if we didn't overthink it, then we'd probably be out in caves just looking for shelter because no one ever thought to themselves, hey, I'd like some French doors and central air conditioning. There's got to be a better way. Fuck, that's so dumb. Well, that's what I'm like. It's such a complex conversation to have and think about. Where does motivation and drive come from? Is there such thing as being too motivated? What limits should motivation have or drive? When can you be content as opposed to, when are you happy? What will make you happy? Is it a bad thing to be content with the bare minimum? And such and such. I know it's very deep. I don't know, it could be the hangover. The lack of food, the lack of sleep. I was actually in my car when I was driving down here. I was like, messaged my mate from last night. I said, mate, I'm really fucking nauseous. I'm like really nauseous. And wait, what did they message back? They messaged, hang on. I did a tactical spew before I went to sleep. Works a charm. I remember those days. The tactical vomit. Anyway, now, do I even open that up, sitting here by myself, about motivation? I think I'll save it for a guest. I had a few people that I was going to talk to about it because it was something that would come up often. But even just as an overarching thought, is this something people think about? I have never liked laziness, but at the same time, really innocuous, simple things bore the shit out of me and I'm too lazy to do them. Whereas I know that I'll go and do something completely complex and convoluted and people are like, how can you be fucked? And I'm like, what's the big deal? But is overthinking a bad thing? I think underthinking is a bad thing. I think it's a terrible thing not to have an independent thought in your head. And then like you look at the whole, being content as opposed to being happy and then being motivated for more. Like when is enough enough? And then you can start talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all that sort of crap. But, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is going to differ for everyone. I mean, you look at the people that split the atom, they weren't looking, they could take care of all their base shit immediately, and they were looking beyond. I know there's a whole lot of things that have triggered this spiral of like bullshit thought. Monkeypox is one of them. Fuck me. Monkeypox is spreading and people are freaking out and looking for vaccines. But it's the same scientists that are giving vaccines for monkeypox that have been giving vaccines for COVID. And for 2 years, we've had people pushing back on these vaccines and saying they're fucking this and they're microchipping us and blah, blah, blah. Now, monkeypox is man-made and, it's a serious pandemic and people, because it's what people look like, you can see it. The funny thing is like monkeypox is an endemic, endemic thing. Like in Africa, it was Nigeria. I think it was Central and Eastern Africa. I was reading it. It's always there. It's a constant. But now that it's hit mainland, now it's a threat. One worthy of vaccines. The sweet, sweet irony. But yeah, the doctors, the scientists creating vaccines for monkeypox and all that shit, were they told they were overachieving or overly ambitious or wanting too much because they studied, got, university degrees and did their theses and doctorates and all that sort of shit, whatever it is, in order to get qualified to work in these labs? Were they wanting too much? Did someone try and pull them in, like, don't go to the uni? Work with me as a tiler. Like, no. Who's anyone to harness or cap your ambition? I have a big problem with that too. Having ambition capped. Like, the sky isn't the limit. What your parents did, that's the limit. What your sister and siblings and stuff did, that's the limit. That really bothers me. I don't know. There's actually a lot of factors at play that have sprung this most convoluted thought process right now. And yeah, I think this is kind of therapeutic for me right now. I know I'm not making any sense. I did have a few things I want to ramble about specifically, and I sort of went off in different forms over the week, but I want to get down on paper just so I'd remember it and I can get angry about it over and over again. Hang on, I had a bunch of stuff written down. Okay, so we got, let's see, the rainbow flare. Fuck me. So the Manly, the NRL team, Manly, they bought out that Pride Week or Pride Month or whatever it is jersey, and it's their jersey with, some rainbow flare stripes on it, and a bunch of Polynesian players all came out and said it's against their religion to wear this thing because it's advocating for homosexual equality for homosexuals. So it's against their religion. So they had to step down, and they were asked to step down. Well, they stepped down voluntarily, and it went up in uproar. The irony of it is the fact that the same players benefit and get paid a wage based on sponsorship built around gambling and booze in some effects. That's fine. Gambling is a direct sin according to the Bible, whichever main Bible, because it advocates for greed. But that's cool. And they've been playing for years. Outside of the toxic culture that the NRL has, that is well documented. Like this week, another woman's come out, some sort of affair / violence / drugs scandal. That's fine. The NRL players are happy to play wearing a jersey with a gambling sponsorship thing on it, or just collecting a paycheck in a stadium with banners. And I said that about, the AFL. They, during the halftime show, they have these billboards everywhere. They say, gamble responsibly, blah, 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 all that sort of shit. And then along the bottom of the field, they've got the banners that are all advertising gambling agencies. I mean, hypocrisy within religious nuts is never lost on me. But it's funny how the religious nut will always find something to lean in on as their bullshit justification. Or they'll cherry pick something and expect you to turn a blind eye to everything else just to validate whatever it is that they're trying to validate at that point. Fuck those players, man. We're talking about equality for people. No one asked them to get down on all fours. And that was the other thing. Getting down on all fours. They weren't asked to get down on all fours. It's part of the game. I actually tweeted this. That's the thing. Half the time I avoid doing podcasts on my own because I just tweet my random nonsense, follow up with a post on Instagram, expanding on it, and then that's it. I just leave it. And that's sort of, that takes away some of the pain and the steam and the momentum. So I'm not compelled to do an actual recording. I think it's also because I do a post like that and I usually get an immediate response from people. so I can see where people actually sit on it. Yeah, left, right, whatever. And I don't care. Discussion's always healthy. Like, that's the whole point. But I think, like, with the audio stuff, I never know who's actually listening. Like, today I actually had a message from a mate who said he wanted to let me know that he agreed with what I'd said regarding Kyrgios and Tomic. I went, really? Not because he agreed, but more because he actually listened to it. Like, you still listen? That's cool. I don't listen to me half the time. I listen, you know what? That's a lie. I listen to podcasts that we do, but I don't listen to my solo ones. And listening to me talk is my least favorite thing. I happen to have, like, some pretty entertaining friends, mostly because they're cooked. I don't care. They're going to hear this. It's fine. They know how I feel. Anyway, going back to all fours. That's the other thing. For all their homophobic, like, feels, they're playing a game that literally has the word scrum in it. These dudes literally get up in each other's business, sweaty as fuck, pawing at each other in, like, manic tussles. The game is literally about going balls deep into someone, tackling him to the ground, like face to groin contact. The amount of times you see fingers going into, orifices, people getting dacked. Like, I'm sorry, but if you saw, like, 10 grown men of peace, like, face to ass, hunched over in the mud, rolling around, if you remove the ball, what does it look like they're doing? Oh, that wasn't lost on me. I had a good fucking laugh on my own about that, like a lunatic. And I remember that one of the NRL's openly gay players, he came out and said, that some of the most, what's it called? When you, innuendo. Some of the sexual innuendo and the comments in the locker rooms and shit is more gay than anything this guy does on his weekends. And even that, like, made me laugh too. Like, I was in bands. I worked with dudes, in team environments, out on job sites and in warehouses, and, played sport. There's always sexual innuendo, man. Like, not even homophobic sexual innuendo, just like camaraderie sort of shit. And you can tell me these guys that spend their weekends rolling around in the mud with their faces in other people's crotches and then showering in group having post-match group shower sessions. They can't wear a rainbow color on a jersey because it goes against their religious beliefs, all the while getting paid by sponsorship deals from betting agencies and booze. Yeah. Do your research, man. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. A mate of mine said to me her dad's Turkish army uniform had more zing. And I'll tell you what, now just thinking about the group showers, man, that's definitely zesty as fuck. Seriously, some of these dudes just plucked, primed, and posed. And that's the thing. It's got nothing to do with homophobia. I'm for it. But it's just like, get real. Get absolutely fucking real. If you were that hardline with your religion, you wouldn't be playing in the NRL. Definitely wouldn't be playing for something that has corporate sponsorship from, like, gambling agencies and booze and all other sordid sort of shit. You'd be little farm on the prairie-ing it up. How do you leave your house? Aside from the scandals. Anyway. What was the other thing I wanted to lose it about? Yeah. My favorite. Neighbours. Finally. At long last, Neighbours has ground to a halt. It's had its wings clipped. The greatest show of all time in the history of TV has finally been stopped. There's a problem. I tweeted this one. I said, it's been finally put to bed, and any other vessel that bled money and unseasoned barbecue meats for that long would have been shelved years ago. But thank God we gave job security to so many individuals that have barely cut it outside of Ramsay Street. And I mean that with all good intent. I had a mate of mine comment on that, and he said, on Ryan Maloney, because I brought him up specifically. He said, Toady reminds me of the one mate that stayed working at McDonald's for too long whilst all his other mates moved on and got adult jobs, and now he's playing catch up. This is my problem. Outside of the fact that Neighbours has been a vessel for white actors for the last 30 fucking years, and only bringing in the odd wog to like shake up a marriage, you know, rob a bank, murder someone, have an affair. Like, this is standard. They bring in the ethnic character every now and then. That was the funny part. Like, Alex, mate Alex, who's been on this podcast before, you know, he was brought in as a Jewish, like, therapist. He was a Jewish dude playing, like, he was playing a Jewish therapist, a marriage therapist who, like, got in between a wife and a husband. He was actually on once before that. He had a 50-worder. I still remember it. I was so proud. Anyway, this is the problem. That show was fucking garbage. Now, I can't speak for, 1981 to 1987 or whenever the fuck it started, because I was only a little boy and I was watching, Stuthy Psalty fucking tapes and Bruce Lee movies. But I will speak of it from when I can actually remember, which is post-Charlene era. I don't actually remember Kylie on Neighbours. She would have been just dropping off the Neighbours route, just as I was sort of coming of age enough to watch TV freely. This is my problem. Now, the show in itself is racist garbage, okay? Since the beginning of time, it's been nothing but white fucking families that don't represent Melbourne. Melbourne is one of the most diverse cities on the fucking planet, and every family was whiter than white bread. Fine. This is what we're appealing to. We only put white people on TV unless they're Arabs or Russians that are taking over the world. That's fine. It was the 90s. Anyway. Any other program that went that long, bleeding money, would have been shelved a long time ago. A long time ago. They kept it going in the idea that it was going to turn around until the networks, they were funding the fucking thing. In the UK especially, where it's more prominent, they turned around and said, we're losing too much fucking money. The ads aren't working out the way they used to. This has to be shelved. Massive backlash. Save Neighbours. We have to save Neighbours. The fucking thing has been bled dry. How many times can you go back to the well? How many times can you bust up a fucking marriage? How many times can the same woman have an affair? How many times can, the same pub burn down? How many times can someone die and come back? I swear to God, I watch Neighbours for 4 minutes every 3 years. And every 3 years, it's the same fucking scenario. Dee Bliss or whatever the fuck it was. That a name? Was that Madeline West's character? I don't know. I can't remember. She's come back from the dead. Or it's a psycho twin. Or it's an imposter. And it's all revolved around Toady. The most unappealing fucking person on the planet somehow gets laid like he bangs the hottest women in Melbourne. Day in, day out. Now, I've got to set a few things, like, for the record here. Madeline West. I've actually worked with Madeline West. We did a TV pilot together, like, fucking 10 years ago? I can't remember when it was. Long time ago. We did a TV pilot together. I was behind the production company that did it, and then she was on a short film that we cast. We cast her in a short film that we did. Lovely woman, right? Lovely woman. Ryan Maloney, who plays Toady, Jared Rebecki, right? I've never met the man. I know people that have worked with him professionally, know him, go to the same pool halls and strip joints. He's a lovely dude, right? Grounded, whatever. This is my fucking problem. He's had job security for nearly 30 years, playing the same fucking character. Okay, sweet money move on him. He's probably made a bit of coin. Yeah, that's a guaranteed paycheck with holidays, superannuation, blah, 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 and all the perks that you would get from being, a soapy actor in Melbourne. But this is the thing. Two things. One, his dummy spit regarding the Logies. Now, the Logies are an absolutely useless award show. We know this. Australian TV has almost zero relevance in the fucking free world. And every year they just prop up Bert Newton. Every year there's a new award, the Bert Newton category again. They give the same awards out to the same fucking people every year, throw in a bit of diversity whenever they feel like it. And that's that. Now, they did like an in memoriam sort of thing for Neighbours at the Logies this year because they knew it was going to end. And Ryan Maloney had a dummy spit that they shelved him into the back of the room, basically split up the cast, had them on random tables in the back, in the nosebleeds. And, the waiters weren't bringing them bread rolls or refilling their water. And then the tribute that they showed, that they aired at the Logies, was too short and didn't include any of the mainstay cast. Like they showed, clips of people who have gone on, like Margot Robbie and stuff. She was only on the show for like a year or two, whatever it was, but she was featured prominently. It's like, it's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. The people that have been there the longest weren't even featured in the reel. And it's like, well, hang on, Maloney. Let me tell you something. Once this show's done, no one is going to know who the fuck you are. Okay? I'd love to see him play out of type. You know what I mean? Oh, and that was the other brilliant line. Oh, one of my mates. Who was it? I remember reading about it. I couldn't stop laughing. Hang on. Oh, yeah, mate of mine, Adelaide. He's like, can't wait for Toadie to star in the next Tarantino film now that he's not committed to Ramsay Street. And that was my point. 27 years he's fucking done this shit. And I remember reading an article like popping up and said, oh, here's a career change for, Toadie. He's now talking about being a truck driver or something like that, like a truckie, like he's getting his HR license because he seems to think it's going to be fun and blah, blah, blah and interesting. But in the article, they were like, oh, he went from playing a high-flying lawyer to he's going to be this. It's like he played a high-flying lawyer. He played a fucking solicitor. He's not a solicitor. He's a D-grade soapy fucking actor on TV that played the same character for nearly 3 decades. It's not a career change. It's a career. And this is the point. Like, I've got no personal graft with, like, Ryan. I don't know the man. I don't care. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'd love for him to come down here and have a chat and tell me about what I don't know about, Neighbours. But what annoys me is that his little outburst about not having a bigger spot in the Logies fucking thing. It's like, hang on. You're part of a shit fucking soap that just drained the well and dragged itself over the line every year. And we just kept setting the line further and further back. This show sucked up resources. And you know what? It springboarded a lot of careers. I'll give it that. Right? There are actors that started on it and then went off and did bigger things. But those actors are doing bigger things. Bigger things. They have a fucking CV. Yeah? It doesn't revolve around fucking Neighbours. No one cares. We all got to start somewhere. And you know what? I probably will never leave this little shitty studio in the southeast that I built with half this equipment that's worth nothing that I fucking have had for over 20 years. I probably will never get bigger than this in a broadcasting sense doing this stuff. And if that's it, so be it. I still work. I'm still trying to do other things. I run 2 different other businesses. I have a full-time job doing something totally different. I am diversifying every fucking day. This clown and all the other idiots on that show played the same characters for 30 fucking years. And poorly. Poorly. The fucking storylines over the last 5 years, like I'd see him during ads when I'd be watching something on TV. I'd see him during ads and it'd be like, they went everywhere. They started with the first same-sex kiss, same-sex relationship. Then it became like, you know, they started injecting a bit of, you know, ethnicity into the fucking show. They'd have like an Asian family and they'd have a fucking Indian family and they'd do this and that. It always comes back to the same white fucking people. And then they'd have the fucking insane age, you know, gaps between relationships and affairs. You know, here's a 50-year-old woman trying to bang a 20-year-old guy. Fantastic. They did every extreme under the sun until basically everyone had fucked everyone else and there was nowhere else to go but ancestral bestiality. And they couldn't go that far without getting it cleared by producers, so they canned it. That is not a legacy. Fuck that show. I know people that have been on that show. As lovely that experience may have been for them, as great as it may have projected their careers, it does not fucking matter. The show itself was garbage. I'm not going to romanticize the past. It was crap. I'm so fucking happy it's gone and we don't have to hear that fucking theme song anymore. And that was my point. I brought this up with Alex, the actor. You know, a thespian of all trades. I ran into him on the street randomly. I was in the city last Friday and I was walking down Swanson and I actually randomly popped into him. He was with a friend or whatever. And, yeah, he's a very humble guy, Alex. I'll be honest. You know, I've known Alex since, you know, our late teens, early 20s, and I've watched him build his career. You know, I remember, you know, him coming to my house and I'd be reading lines with him. I cast him in a short film I did back in 2009. It was like the first short film ever filmed, like proper, with a proper budget and production. And we cast him in it. And I was no one, but he auditioned like a champ and he got the role. And he just kept building and building and building. And then I was talking him up, you know, to his friend the other day. And I'm like, you know, look at Alex. I go, 10 years. Let's take the last 10 years. This guy has gone from like reading lines at my house, recording voiceovers in my house with me directing him of all fucking people when I'm not a director. Asking, you know, like humble fucking beginnings, doing short films and small and stories and like, you know, all that sort of shit. Okay, look at his CV, even on Wikipedia. There must be 24 roles in the last decade. You know, more. I've seen him in theatre. He did like 2 sets of Underbelly as lead actors. He was he was the brother of Fat Tony in Fat Tony and Co. You know, Fat Tony's the main character. He played his brother. In the Chopper one, he played the lead detective that was after Chopper. The lead cop interacting with him the entire time. You know, Gallipoli had a key role in that as a Turkish like general or whatever it was. Turkish, I think it was a general. You know, and I know what kind of work he did in the background of that, getting ready for the role. He just did a Stan exclusive series with Alex Dimitriadis. You know, that came out a month or 2 ago. He's actually filming something right now. I saw something on his Insta. I haven't spoken to him in a week, but I saw him put some story up. He's on a set somewhere. He's got a CV of wealth. Ryan Maloney's going to become a truck driver because no one else will give him a fucking acting job. And that's my point. None of these other actors that got overlooked for that Logies thing have done anything else other than fucking Neighbours. Seriously. One trick fucking pony, the lot of them. People have been saying, why did Kylie not get a bigger role in the thing? And apparently she had like 4 lines in the whole show. But Guy Pearce had like substantial dialogue or something. And it's like, oh, they came out and said, oh, Kylie filmed her shit a lot earlier than anyone else. And she didn't want to overshadow the finale. Number one, Kylie didn't want to overshadow the finale. Okay. Kylie's Australia's biggest export. I think in that crowd of people that have been on Neighbours and gone on to do bigger things, you got Margot Robbie, who's like the heartthrob of fucking Hollywood. When I think of Kylie, I don't think of her acting chops. I think of Street Fighter, when she had an affair with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then I think of Biodome, where she starred opposite Stephen Baldwin and Pauly Shore. Come on, man. And I love Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce is a brilliant actor. And he's done some awesome fucking movies. He's been in Hollywood the last 20, 30 years. 20 years easy he's been in Hollywood. Pulling roles. You know, what's his name? Russell Crowe was on Acropolis Now with George Kapiniaris and Nick Giannopoulos. He was on Acropolis Now, but he doesn't hang his laurels on that. He went and was Gladiator, won a fucking Oscar. I can't. These deluded fucks. They're the cunts that stand in the supermarket and expect you to get out of their way so they can buy their lean cuisine dinners. Fuck me. I cannot stand that shit. And it's got nothing, it's not a personal attack on Tony Rebecca, right? Again, bring him down here. I'll have a chat with him. I don't care if he has the time now that he's going to be an HR driver working shift work. These poor pricks probably don't have to get a job. I mean, working that long, you'd have some pretty good salary. Why would you stay in it? And I get working in a shit job you don't like because you're afraid to get something else. But for fuck's sakes, the one thing we know, the one thing we can guarantee is the fact that Australian media recycles their celebrities until they literally die. I'm surprised they didn't have Bert Newton hosting the fucking Logies this year. Fucking surprised. But anyway, I don't know where that came from. What was the last thing? I don't know. Do I want to keep going? How long have we been doing this? 40 minutes. Fuck me. I don't know. The other thing that I've been watching a lot is cop impersonators on YouTube that get busted pretending to be cops. And these freaks, they buy cars that they do up with stickers. Jeremy DeWitt is the main one that you see, and he's just entertaining. He's clearly imbalanced. Like, he's got a problem. But then there's more, you know, more low-key dudes. They get a siren, they get some flashing lights, they install a scanner, you know. They got a fake badge. But I don't understand, these fucking imposters must have such identity crises, man. Like, what would possess you to dress up as a cop and write people fake tickets or pull people over like you're an authority? And how do these people survive? Man, if my partner was doing that shit, I would look at them and say, what the fuck? How did people not pull them up? If I had a mate that I knew was actively out on the road pretending to be a cop when he wasn't, I would literally distance myself or tell him, what the fuck are you doing? It's such a serious crime. Then they act like they've done nothing wrong. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? That and people having meltdowns. You know, all the Karen videos and stuff, getting arrested, pulled over for something innocuous, then talking themselves into even more shit, and then like fighting back on it. You can see why people say cops have got a high strung. It's because they've got to deal with idiots like this wasting their fucking time, wasting taxpayer time. Yeah, it's like, why don't you go get the real criminals out there? We would, but people like you are fucking about and wasting our fucking time. You watch someone get pulled over and it's like no light, no registration, no plates, no driver's license, driving under the influence, and a warrant out for, you know, their arrest for other shit. What have I done wrong? I've done nothing wrong. You can't arrest me. Yeah, well, we can. How dare you touch me? You're being racist, or, you know, you're being sexist, or you're being aggressive. It's like, dude, you're coming to jail. You literally are driving with no license, no registration, no insurance, no nothing. And it becomes a brawl. It's like, how did it even escalate to that? I'm all for pushing back on shit, but Jesus Christ. I'm actually really hungover. I didn't think I would be this bad, but I didn't even get drunk. Just because I kept drinking sugary. For some reason, I was mixing up drinks, and there was too much sugary shit in the drinks. And, yeah, I actually feel nauseous. I had a falafel kebab. On the way home, I was walking through the city and I had a falafel. I stopped to buy a falafel kebab, watched a punch on start, and just walked away into the sunset with the kebab. It was actually really cool. We went to this bar and it was packed. There was all these people milling around at like the front desk, you know, trying to get a table. And like, I wasn't dressed nice or anything. I was wearing like jeans and runners. Like, I looked like shit. And my mate said, all right, it's time to pull the move. I'm like, what move? She says, we're getting a table. I'm like, okay. How? She said, I'm doing the move. Pulled out reading glasses. Put on the reading glasses. Instant credibility. We got a table. Like, instantly. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? It's like, the girl at the desk had 2 tables left in the fucking bar. She doesn't just give these to anyone. And I'll be honest, it's actually true. There were people there standing in line waiting, and like talking about getting a table at some point. Literally sidled up, put on the reading glasses. We got in. Anyway, I think that'll wrap it up. I actually have to get out of here. There's so much work to do. As always, nothing. Look, I know like it sounds not dubious, but it doesn't always. Okay, people that don't actually know me, I'm going to sit up. I've been fucking sitting back like a moron this entire time. People that don't actually know me might think that I'm just overreacting or, you know, whatever. But it is actually true. I do work a lot. The last 2 weeks has been especially kind of hard dealing with some personal shit. I actually went and got, this isn't what I've been dealing with. It was one thing that just happened to come across my desk. I got tendonitis in my right elbow and I went and got a cortisone shot. For anyone that's ever had cortisone pumped into their elbow, it's not the funnest thing. And it gets worse before it gets better. But it's actually, it's a bit stiff now, but it's generally better. But what I did was when I was walking away from the doctors, I passed an EB Games, and I hadn't been to an EB Games in 2-3 years, like before COVID, well before COVID. You know, there was an EB back in the old hood that I used to go to every now and then. Not like I bought anything. But yeah, and I thought, you know what, I need to relax a bit. Like, I can't keep doing this. So I bought a game I haven't played since 2013. And I forced myself to take a time out. I'd get to 6:37. I'm still answering emails. I'm like, nah, fuck this. I'd eat something, maybe do a bit more work later, and then physically sit down and play a nothing bullshit video game for like an hour just to space out. I am honestly trying. I am trying very, very hard to just relax a bit more. But then it comes back to overthinking. I can't be left alone. Seriously, I get in my own head. Anyway, hopefully that last podcast I did will get cleared, and I can release it. Otherwise, I've got to edit the one with Jimmy, and I hope he listens to this. I'm sure he will. Just hedging bets on it. So yeah, I want to thank him for actually doing that episode with me. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to do more. But I just haven't had time to edit it because it is a bit of a mindfuck. We ended up walking through like a Chemist Warehouse. Then, like, went and got KFC, parked outside the front of the Coburg Motel, staked it out, like, you know, detectives for like an hour, then left and just did a cruise around Carlton, Coburg, Preston, like all those sort of areas. And we actually saw a few funny things. It was actually pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get time to actually edit that. But yeah, till then, yeah, I hope to get... If you've got any suggestions, anyone you think we should chat to down here, flick them my way. You know, I'm always up for a story. I'm always up for a new personality in here. Yeah, keep liking, sharing, following, subscribing. It really does help. I know you don't think it does or that you won't make a difference, but when you've got no support, then 2 people supporting you is the biggest thing ever. And I appreciate everyone who listens to this shit, everyone who takes the time to listen to my rambles. Thanks to everyone that keeps buying us coffees, you know. Every little bit helps. But yeah, please, like, if you listen to this, if you've gotten this far for this episode, that's 45 minutes. If you've gotten 45 minutes into this episode, then just tell someone that you wasted 45 minutes listening to this bullshit. It'll be much appreciated. But, yeah, till then, smoke crack.
Hold up.